new font and like how to access it inside the Flutter. Also, like we will do something called dynamic text, which is like, so if you can see like in the expression, it's a really big font. So when we try to like, when the number is too long, like maybe 5, 6, 7 digits, it's gonna overflow. And when it overflows, we are gonna like reduce the size of the font so that like it can fit in the container. So these are the 4 things that we are gonna do today. So let's start now. Okay, so I hope you guys know what stateful widget is. So stateful widget is basically something like a widget which will actually hold on to its state, so that like when something changes inside it, like it can be reflected in the UI. So first what we are gonna do is like remove the placeholders. Okay. So yeah. So we have in buttons, right? Like in the calculation inputs, like we have 3 different type of buttons. One is like a numbers, like 4 rows of numbers, and then like we have arithmetic operations on the left side, and then we have like some of the operations like clearing out a plus or minus and percentage on the top. So what we are going to do is like we are going to focus on numbers first, because the logic for numbers is very easy. You don't have to like do any what to say, like validation to actually add the numbers. It's just going to be like inserting it in the text box. So what we are going to do is like first, let's start with number button, and like we are going to create a new function, or let's call it like what can we call it? Number pressed. Let it be number pressed. So yeah, so now we are gonna like what we are gonna do is like we are gonna call that number pressed button from the actual numbers button. So what we are gonna do is like we are gonna call it like this. So what I'm actually doing is so on pressed is a parameter for elevated button, which gets a function as a callback. So if you check the functions type, it's a void function. It doesn't get any parameter, but we need a parameter button text parameter for the numbers pressed. So what I'm basically doing is it's like a shorthand for creating another anonymous function. Anonymous functions are something just functions which doesn't have any name. So that's what I'm basically doing. I'm creating a new function which calls the number pressed function, which by which I'm passing down the button text. So if you save it and like try to like type in, as you can see, like you are like now the state is actually getting reflected as I press the button. So, but instead of using the expression text, it should be result, because we want it down here when we actually like give the new input. So that's done. But we also have like some edge cases here. So if you can see, like we have a clear button and then like we have a dot. So let's handle the clear first, right? So or when button text is equal to clear, or I will just copy the Unicode Madison. Yeah. So when the button text is equal to clear, what I should do is like I should check if it's like the current state of the result text is empty or not. So I'm gonna do that. And if it's not empty, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set state where result text is equal to result text dot substring. Like we can do it in a lot of different ways, but I prefer like doing it in a functional way. So what I'm basically doing is I'm taking the result text and I'm taking string of result text. So I'm starting with the 0th index and then like taking the whole string but reducing it by 1. So it's going to be like length of the string by minus 1. So what's going to happen is if you take the 5874 what it's basically gonna do is it's gonna take 587 and set it as the new result text value. So, oh shit, okay. Yeah, I forgot to remove this. So now if you see like we implemented the numbers and then like the removal of the like previous digits and stuff. So two stuff is done, and we have another case where we allow the users to like give decimal input, right? I mean the dot period operator. But the issue here is like we need to like look into multiple cases here. For example, so when it's button text, so right, the user shouldn't be able to like give multiple period for just a particular number, right? So the user shouldn't be able to do this, and the user shouldn't be able to like do this. Okay, it's not actually okay. I'm not setting the state now. That's why it's not working. But the user shouldn't be able to do this, and like or like separate dots with another digit or something. We need to handle these cases. So what we are going to do is first we are going to check if the number ends with a dot or not. So all we gonna do is, so there is something called regex. So let's define a regex for you. And we are gonna define a pattern. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna specify dot and say if result text is not empty and result text okay. So I did something like this, and I will explain you what this is. So what I'm basically doing is I'm defining a regex pattern. So what like this particular string means if the whatever I'm using to check, right? If it contains the dot, uh, you should return a true, like it checks for a match. Okay, that's what happening here. So I'm checking for a match, and if it contains a match, it will return a true, but I want a false here because I want to execute this only when it doesn't actually contains the particular pattern I'm pausing it. And why I'm doing is not empty is like if you see here, like we are actually manipulating the index of the string, right? So if it's empty and if we try to like do length -1, it's gonna throw a index out of one exception. So that's why we are actually handling this here. So if we clear this out, I'm trying to do this. That shouldn't work. See if since there's already a dot, when I'm trying to like input dot again, it's not allowing me to do it. So there's another case here. So if I'm giving some other digits and I'm trying to like give dot, it's allowing me to like input the dot again. So I will also have to handle that case. So how we are gonna do that is we are gonna use another if condition where yeah, we are gonna split it. We will split the string by operator. So what I'm doing is like, here I am getting a resultant string, right? It's gonna be like something. Okay, I need to refresh it. So let's say I have something like this, and I have a plus, and then I will have another thing, right? So I'm right now what I'm doing is I'm taking just the values and I'm storing it in a list called values. So then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna check each values, like how many dots does it have. If it has more than like one dot, I'm not gonna allow the users to like give multiple dots as input. So how I'm gonna do that is, so I'm gonna use if condition values, mm, values dot length -1 dot split. Okay. So what I basically done here is I'm gonna check the last element in the values list, and I'm gonna split it again using the dot. So when I split it with dot, right? Uh, if there is no dot in the value, it won't be able to split it. Okay, so so what happens is the values length is gonna be just one. Like after splitting here, right? Whatever this function returns, its length is gonna be just one because they haven't split any because it doesn't have any dot. So when it is more than one, which means it has a dot. So so that means I shouldn't allow the user to like add input another dot. So that's the logic behind here. So if you refresh it and try to like 85.5 and then again try to add the dot, you won't allow you to do it. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the numbers. I think we handled all the cases. So now let's move to like what is there. Okay, let's move to these three buttons now. So these are operator buttons, I guess. Yep. So let's do the same thing again. We are going to define another function. Let's call it operator first or something. And it's going to again get a button text. Pardon. So again, like here we have three different buttons, right? I'm actually thinking of like replacing the percentage with another button called AC. I will explain what AC does clearly when they get into its functionality, but let's just do it quickly. As it, yeah, it's yeah, right. Yep, that should work. Okay. Mm. So we're gonna do the same thing again. We're gonna use a if condition and check the button text. And let's check for AC first. Um, so we have two parts here. Like before we clear the state, right? We have two parts. That is it. Okay, we have two parts. So when you type a particular expression, it's gonna take the like the below space and it's gonna use the like the larger text. And when you actually press the equal to, the expression is gonna go up and the result is gonna be in the like in the larger text. So what AC does is it's gonna clear both like both the like expression and then the result text also. So that's what AC does, and that's what we are going to do, which is particularly easy. You don't have to like handle any cases or anything like that. So all we are going to do is like set result text equal to empty, and then expression text equal to empty. And that should pretty much do it. Maybe let's refresh. Oh yeah. Also like you have to process. I mean, you have to call the operator processed function. just like how we did in the numbers, and now it should work. Yep. So as you can see, when I pressed AC, it cleared the both of the text. So next case we have C, right? So when button text equal to C, what we are gonna do is it's similar, but the thing is what C does is it doesn't like clear out the expression, it just clears out the result. So what we're gonna do is uh, we're gonna set result text equal to expression text and expression text equal to empty. So what I'm doing is if I refresh and like just click on C, as you can see, the text which was in the upper part is now in the lower part. So that's what C does. So we so far handled like two of these cases. Next one is kind of tricky. It's called plus or minus. And what it basically does is uh, like let me just show you. So when you have expression like this, when you click on plus or minus, it's gonna change the sign of the lost number. So here it's gonna change the sign of 5 to plus since it's minus 5. If it's plus 5, it's gonna change it to minus 5. That's what plus or minus does. And like how are we gonna actually handle the logic for it is kind of tricky, but let's just do it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the same thing that I did before, like here. Yeah, if you can see, like we check whether the uh, current expression ends with the operator or not, right? So we will check if it ends with the operator or not. So when it doesn't end with the operator, when it doesn't end with the operator, what we are going to do is like we are going to do another check where we are going to do something like this. We are just going to get the lost index of plus or minus. So all we can do is like we can define another pattern called maybe plus minus pattern to regex. Okay. So I've defined a pattern where I'm gonna like check whether the particular string contains either plus or minus. So, and what happens, like what this particular function does is it's gonna check for the pattern and it's gonna return the index of that particular match, but only it doesn't return multiple matches because if you can see here, there are two different matches. There is a plus and then there is a minus, but it's gonna just return the minus in the sense like it's gonna return the index of the last match. So I'm gonna get the index here, and if there isn't any match, it's gonna return a -1, right? So what we want is we want now check if the index is in -1, and when there is a match, what we are gonna do is like we are gonna set the result text equal to result text dot replace. Okay, so yeah, so what basically happens here is I'm trying to replace that particular match with something else. That's what I'm doing here. So result text dot replace range. What replace range does it? It's gonna replace the particular substring within this particular range. But index plus one is exclusive. So it's just so when I pause index and index plus one, it's just gonna replace the index. And similarly, what I'm doing here is I'm checking whether the match is a minus or plus. If it's a minus, I'm changing it to plus, and then if it's a plus, I'm changing it to minus. That's what happens here. So when I refresh it, unlike mhm. Hmm. Yep. So yeah. So what I'm doing here is I was checking for the match. Uh, and I was currently executing if that was a match, but what I want is that it should I mean like when that was in a match, right? It was currently executing when that was in a match, but I want it to execute when that is a match. So that's why I added a not operator here, so it's gonna like inverse the boolean. So now it works. So yeah, as you can see, like it changes the sign from minus to plus, and when I click it again, it's gonna change the plus to again minus. So yeah, so these three parts are done. So we just have one more button type, which is called like primary, I think. Yep. So same, we are going to define another function called, let's call it primary pressed, and it's going to take a string of parameter called button text. On here, it's simple. We don't have to like do any checks for any of those operators except for equal to, right? Because equal to, we are just gonna evaluate the expression when the user clicks on equal to. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna check button text equal to, and when it's equal to, and it doesn't end with the like operator, right? Like when I click on equal to, it shouldn't end with operator. For example, it shouldn't have something like 8 plus 44 minus 5. Again, it shouldn't have a minus or division or anything like that because it's a invalid expression. So we will just do a check for that. We're gonna do is like we will do result text dot length minus one dot contains. We will define another pattern. Um, Yep. So when this happens, we will do the evaluation. So evaluation. So now, right? So we need to actually evaluate the expression. So for that, we are not going to write all the logic ourselves. So there is a package called math expression in the dot community. So we will just use it. So we all we are going to add is like, let's just go to Chrome now. Where's Chrome. Yep. So I'm gonna go to pub.dev, which is like a repository for dot applications. It's like npm. How JS has npm, right? Similarly, like dot as pub.dev. So I'm gonna check for the package called math expression. Yep. So this is the package we want. So what I'm gonna do is like I'm just gonna go here and click on this copy button, and it's gonna copy the dependency text for me. So now, right, there is a file called pubspec.yaml. And I'm just gonna add the dependency like here. It's under dependencies, right? You can add it under dependencies, and the indentation is important. So it shouldn't be like this. It should be intended. So when I click on it, it's gonna like fetch the package for me. Yep, I think it's done. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna define a parser, which is basically like the package uses certain like object method like it's gonna pass the expression into certain objects so that it's easy for it to like make the processing and evaluation. So for that it needs a parser, and we are gonna just define a parser object for it, and we need another object called expression. uh, so now I'm gonna use the parser object, and it should have a function called parse, and I'm gonna pass the input string for it here. So let's pass the input string. And it needs something called a context model, which is basically like a memory for the evaluator. We don't have to like think about it much. It just needs a context model. So we will just create one and like pass it. So now I'm gonna evaluate the expression. So evaluation type. So real. So what it basically does is I'm just mentioning like do the evaluation in a real numbers format. And then like I need to pass the context model here. So I'm gonna pass the context model here. So after evaluation, it's gonna return a like a final result for us, and it's gonna be in the form double format. So that's pretty much it. We got the result here, and we just need to like set the state so that it can be printed for the user. So all we are gonna do is like we're gonna change the expression text to result text, because the smaller text when you click on equal to should become the small. I mean the larger text when you click on equal to should become the smaller text, and the result should be the larger text, right? So that's what we are gonna do here, which is gonna be about. And since the result text is a type string, we need to convert the double to string, which is easy. We just need to call the toString function, and that should pretty much do it. And yeah, I think this should work now. Oh yeah, again, the same mistake. I need to like call the primary pressed function here. See, so the expression became the smaller text and the result became the larger text. So yeah, so equal to is done, and now we just need to like handle all the other four cases. So which isn't complex. All you have to do is like put a else block, else if block. Hmm. Actually, you don't even have to actually do that. You can just do something like this, else block, and but you just need to like do another check whether the operator ends with another operator. I mean, the expression ends with the operator or not, because I shouldn't be able to like input another operator when there is already operator at the end, right? So it should be like 8 plus 44 minus 5 minus, and then I shouldn't be able to like enter another minus. So I'm going to handle the case here, which is basically the same way how we handled it somewhere in here. So I'm just going to copy paste it. and I'm gonna set the state. Result text plus equal to balance text. So let's try adding something. Okay, it works. Don't mind the overflow. We are gonna fix that issue. So let's say 87 minus 9 plus 6 equal to 84. So it works now. And let's check whether the check for like is the expression ending with the operator works or not. So I'm trying it, 78. I'm multiplying it. I'm trying to multiply again. Okay, it's working. Oh, okay. I think I'm missing something. Hmm. It should be fine. Why is it not working? Okay, anyway, like let's come back to it later. So I don't want to waste my time here. So yeah, that's pretty much done. We just like need to add up that one edge case, right? So let's do it later. So what we are gonna do now is like we are gonna see how can we like add custom fonts here. So as you can, if you remember, like yesterday, Aditya said we are gonna use some custom font called WorkSense. WorkSense it's a Google font, so you can like get it for free. So how you can get it is I'm gonna open Chrome here, and I'm gonna go to Google Fonts, fonts.google.com, and if you go and search here, like I'll just go back. If you go and search here what sans, yeah, what sans, you will be able to get it. So you can see the download button here. Just download the family, and if you open it, in static, it's gonna add the entire family. We don't need all these fonts. We just need the regular one. That should be something called WorkSense regular. Okay, it's right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna okay. It's already there. I will just delete it and I will show it again to you. So we are gonna create a new folder called assets, and inside assets we are gonna create another folder called fonts, and inside fonts we can just throw it in. Okay. Yep. So we have font like the WorkSense regular font inside assets/font, and we have to tell the dot program that the particular font asset is in a particular location. And how can we do that is we can go to pubspec.yaml, pardon. And if you go down here, you will be able to like, that should be an existing code similar to this and it should be commented. You can just uncomment it and like mention the path. So what currently I'm telling the I need some certain asset, and that certain asset it is in this particular directory. It's inside assets slash fonts. So after mentioning it, you also have to mention like I'm using this particular font, and this particular font file is in this particular location. It's belong to this particular font family. So for that, it's the same. You will be able to like see something like this, which should be commented in the pubspec.yaml. You can just uncomment it and like uh, set the particular uh, like to set the particular part of that particular file. And once doing this, or sometimes when you add asset, you might have to like restore the application. So I will just like restore the application. Okay. So we have the font asset like loaded, but we didn't tell the program to actually use it. So we are gonna do that is we are gonna mention font family, and we are gonna mention okay, I forgot the family name. It's work sans. So I'm gonna mention work sans. That's right. Oh yeah, there's a difference, I suppose. Yeah. So as you can see, right? So when I commented, it changes, right? So which means we are actually using the right font, but these texts are not changing. So we also like have to like change it up there. And now we're gonna do that is like for each buttons, right? We are actually pausing something called text type, and we will just mention whatever font family we want over there. Work sans. So as you can see, it changes, right? So we changed it for numbers. So we are also going to change it for primary operators. Mm-hmm. Yep. So the new font is applied. So that's pretty much it. So importing and using a font is pretty much easy. You can do it like that. Also, there is something called Google Fonts. Like there's a package called Google Fonts, and you can also use it. But I'm not going to go into it, but it's pretty easy to like actually use custom fonts using Google Fonts package. So that's done. So next, right? What else we have? So logic implementation is done. We did the custom font. So let's switch to themes. So anyway, like in these days, like all the mobiles have like two different themes, like light and dark mode. So we are already pretty much done with light. So we will define a dark theme. So if you go up right in material app, it takes two different parameters for theme. One is theme, and then another one is dark theme. So what we're gonna do is I'm basically gonna copy it and set it like this, but we need changes. If I just do this, there's isn't gonna be any different because I haven't told it like what background color to use and stuff. So it's gonna just use the white color. So what we can do is I can specify scaffold background color and what color shall we use. Let's just use this color, and then we will set. Okay, that's enough for now. Let's go to it when we actually implement it. So right, so we defined some for themes here, but we need a way to actually switch the theme. And if you see the screenshots, like I added a switch here, which will allow us to like change the theme. And all I'm gonna do is like scaffold as scaffold. So inside build method, this is where you all the widgets are. So scaffold also has something called app bar. And I'm gonna mention app bar. So once I added app bar, you can see it added a like a white background, like yeah, with kid over there. So which takes a title, and I'm gonna insert a row in here, and I'm gonna add the switch, which switch takes a value of boolean. So for now, let's just set it as true, and it needs a callback function which passes a boolean. So let it be like this now. So it's kind of left aligned. We want it in the center. There are two ways to do it. So I can either set the main axis alignment to center, or I can uh, set the row size to minimum. So I will use the second option. I'm going to set main axis size to minimum. So what actually happens here is normally row takes the entire available width. But when you set the main axis element as min, it's going to just take the space which is required for its children. So since the children is just the button, it's going to just take that space. So it gets automatically center aligned because title in the app bar is by default center aligned. So we need few icons. As you can see, like we have two icons here. So I'm gonna add those icons. It's called, those icons are called icons dot light mode, I guess. Yep. That should be another one called dark mode. Yep. So we set the icon. Now we need some way to actually change the state so that like actually the theme changes reflects. For that, we will first mention theme mode. So theme mode is what specifies which kind of theme to actually use for the application. Should not change now. Why is it not changing? Okay, yeah, we are specifying like background color inside scaffold. That's why it's not changing. So once I remove it, as you can see, it changes the theme. It doesn't look good. We still have to like clean it up. So what I'm gonna do is like first I'm gonna specify the scaffold background color for light theme. And then also like the app bar doesn't look good because the app bar uses white color and we need dark color and dark theme, right? So I'm gonna set app bar theme dot off. So what I'm gonna use copy with. So what this does it, it's just gonna take the existing app bar theme and it's gonna just insert the changes that we mentioned inside copy with to it so that like we don't have to specify all the required like app bus parameters here, app bar themes parameters here. So I just need like 4 different stuff. So one is background color, which should be the same as a scaffold. Background color, yep. And then I need a foreground color, which can be white. White should be fine. And then elevation, let elevation be 0. And then I can theme. Maybe I can theme isn't required. Okay. So as you can see, like the birds change the color to the same color as the scaffold, like the background color of scaffold. Now we need like change the text color. So what we can do is like instead of going down and changing it in every places, theme data also gets a text theme. Similarly, like what we did for app bar theme, right? We are gonna do something like this, text theme. That copy with. Okay, it's actually better to use apply. So it gets 2 different colors, body color and display color. Body color is used for like smaller text and display is used for larger text. In our case, both can be white. But you do have to like keep this in mind, like whatever theme you define in the theme data, right? If you explicitly specify the text color inside the text widget, it's not going to get applied. So as you can see, like we are telling use this particular color inside the text. So it's gonna override the theme data and just gonna use the color that we mentioned below. So let's just remove it. Put it over here. Oh, okay. I used it in the wrong place, but yeah. It kind of looks better. Could be better though. Okay. So we are going to tell the expression to use body medium so that like it will adapt the body color, right? Text theme dot body medium. That, yep. And body medium should have uh, maybe apply, yeah. Should have apply. In apply we are gonna just specify. Okay, it's copy with I think. Yep, copy with, yeah. We will just specify the font size. And similarly, we are gonna do the same for the result text, but it should be bigger. So let's just tell it to be headline medium maybe. Let copy with. Yeah, that should work. Yeah, that looks better. So when I get the result, yeah, so it adapts to black or dark and light theme. So next, let's go with the like the number buttons. For number buttons, right? Oh, where is it? Okay, for number buttons, we are specifying like the color and text color over here. And we need let the foreground color be white. And then the background colors dot black, maybe 12. 12 should do it. Yeah, that looks better, I think. And surface tint color also, let it be 12. Yep, that looks a lot better. And we also have to like change the operator buttons. So where is the operator buttons? Okay, it's over here. And let's do the same. What color can we set it? Let it be. Okay, actually, let's come back here later because we have to like we need the state to actually like set the like different themes for it because we need to handle a logic whether current theme is a light or dark. Based on that, we need to set the theme here. So let's go back and let's implement the way to actually change the theme. So what we are gonna do is like instead of specifying theme mode here, I'm just gonna copy it and I'm gonna define a new variable called finer, or let it be finer, and let it be theme mode notifier, value notifier of type theme mode, and then the default value can be theme dark, I guess, and it cannot be constant anymore. So let's just remove it. And now there's something called a value listenable builder. I will explain what it does. Uh, in few minutes, but it's just implemented first. So valid listenable is theme mode listenable notifier, and then it's gonna take a value, and then it's gonna take a child. So it takes a child, which is a widget. So you guys don't have to like go into deep into it. So which is, since it's not required now, let's just leave it like that. So it's I use underscore because we are not gonna use it anywhere. So underscore is like a way to like describe like we are gonna use it anywhere. We are gonna use it anywhere here, but since it's required, we will just call it as underscore. So we are going to use the value here. So if you check the value, right, its type is team data. I mean team mode. So I will just pass value over here, and we will also have to like pass the notifier, like the to the home widget. So let's just call it as team mode notifier again, and let's pass it inside the constructor. So since I mentioned it here, I'm getting an error here because I haven't like passed the theme of notifier here. So I'll just pause it. And it cannot be constant anymore, so I will remove the constant. And yeah, that should work. So what we can do is, let's go back to the switch. So switch as the on change function, right? So let's call this a value, and value is gonna be a boolean. So what we are gonna do is like we are gonna check value, and if the value is true, let it be a dark mode. Okay, let's do it like this. Okay, dot value team value notifier. Let's set value, and now let's check value. If it's true, let it be team mode dot dark, and if it's not true, let it be team mode light. And now, okay, I also have to mention it here. Okay. So it only accepts Boolean, right? So we have to like convert this into Boolean. So all we can do is like if it's demo dot doc, it's gonna okay. So I'm gonna do this comparison, but basically what happens here is if the theme mode is dot, it's gonna return true, otherwise it's gonna return false. So based on that, the switch's value is gonna change. So if I try to okay, I need to reload. So if I try to manipulate it, as you can see, like the theme is getting switched and most of the stuff is working now. And we still have to like add these three buttons. It's called primary, right? Yeah. So we need to check whether what's the current state of like theme data. I mean theme mode. So all we are gonna do is we are gonna check if it's theme mode dot light. Let the foreground color be black. Else let the foreground color be white. Okay. Similarly, we are gonna also set the same thing for background color. I need the background color code though. Okay. So the background color is gonna be I think that's a lot better. Oh, shit, I did it for the wrong button. Hmm. Operator, right? Yeah. Do it, yeah. And yep, that looks a lot better now. So that's the implementation. And there's another minor issue here. If you can see, like the apple uses different color compared to the like a scaffold's background. So we can also change that by going here. Let's just copy this and set the same thing for lighting. Not change the color to scaffolds. And set the background color to, foreground color to black. Yep. So that's it. I hope it works. Okay. So as we can see, still there's an issue. So when then text overflows, right? It's gonna push everything down and it's gonna overflow. So what we can do is like, we can make that font size dynamic so that that doesn't happen. And all we can do is like, if I go back here, there is something called as a fitted box, and it's gonna get a fit. And I'm gonna mention box fit dot contain. Don't mind it. Uh, so yeah, so what Flipbox basically does it, it's gonna try to contain the content in the available space as much as possible. So one way to do it is it's gonna like, since it's a text, it's gonna try to reduce the text size so that it can fit in. But the thing is, there is a constraint here. A fitted box always needs a widget with certain width. But when the text is empty, right? The width of the text widget is empty. So that we need to also like give constraint box, or which is going to take a constraint parameter and it's going to take a box constraint type, and we are going to set the minimum width as 1 so that it doesn't like throw exception. And we are going to do the same thing for this. Hmm. Okay. And then that should fix it. See, okay. As you can see now, it's the font size is dynamic because since we are using a spacer, the spacer is taking more space because it's able to like take the remaining space, right? So what we have to do is like, we have to replace the spacer with something constant. So for that, I will just use the size box. Let that be maybe 48. 48 works, I guess. And then we also have a spacer here. Let's remove it. So now what we can do is like, since we remove the spacer, it's gonna again move up, right? But we need the both of the text to take available all the available space. So what we are gonna do is like, we have gonna wrap it inside a column, and we are gonna specify main axis size as minimum so that it like it don't try to like overflow the buttons like all the tempos and other buttons, right? And now we are gonna use something called expander. Okay, so we will again let's specify main axis to n, then cross axis, right? Maybe, yeah, I think that works. Cool. But let's try it again. Oh, oh yeah. So we have another issue here. So normally expression, right? It's gonna take, it's for multiplication, it's gonna take star, and for division, it's gonna take slash. But we are using like different symbols here for it. So what we can do is like, inside equal to, right, where we are actually evaluating. What we can do is like, we can replace x with star and like this division symbol with the slash. And that's pretty easy. All we have to do is return text that replace all. Just copy this. Replace X with star and replace the division symbol with the slash. And we have to like set it as this text equal to get. So let's try it again. It should work now. 85 into 9. Yep, it works now. As you can see, like it converts it to star. And similarly, let's try the division. Okay. So yeah, it works. But the thing is like the size box, maybe it's too much. It leaves a lot of space behind. So maybe let's try to reduce it to 36, 28. Yeah, 28 looks cool. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think we implemented custom fonts, we implemented theme switcher, we also set the text size to dynamic, and we implemented the logic for calculation. So that's it, guys. That's pretty much it. But the thing is, like, it can be improved a lot. We can, again, I remove the percentage, we can include percentage. And if you close the app and open it again, so if you leave it in light theme and if you close the app and open it again, it's gonna open it again in the dark theme. So you can add like a persistent so that it's gonna remember what theme you were using before closing it before. And yeah, if you like, you can think through it and you can add more features if you want. And the theming is also not perfect, as you can see. The colors isn't that which can colors aren't right. It wasn't the exact thing they were using before. So these things can be handled inside the theme data. Yeah, like you can like play through and like go through trial and error, like try different stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys have any doubt, you can use the Slido session and you can ask us. Also, you can ask us in Discord. And if you need any help and if you need any resources like to learn more and stuff, don't hesitate to hit us up and we will definitely like help you out. So thank you. And let me just stop my screen sharing. So we can leave, guys. So definitely, if you have any doubt, just hit us up in any of the socials. Yeah. Thank you. See ya.